Get ready, folks, because today and today only, you're going to get the always anticipated, but, never duplicated Trenton's favorite rise of 2023. Now, I was going to say top 5, Trenton.
Nope.
But
I'm throwing you for a loop.
I'm looking at more bottles than 5. I don't know what you got going on, but I'm sure you have a plan.
I'm struggling to even get words out. I'm really excited, so I apologize. Usually when I'm excited, I'm all over the place.
Yes, you are.
So this video is going to be just an absolute garbage dump of knowledge that's spewing out of my mouth and brain at the same time.
I'm going to let you have the platform, too, because I know very little about most of these. And I'm excited because there's a few I haven't even tried a few that he has up here. Can you imagine? They're on his top list of the year, and I haven't even had a dribble.
I've been hogging the Ryes to myself. I'm not going to lie.
Yes.
So usually I can, if I'm coming up with a top 5, I have a little bit of an idea, and I can come up with a list in 10, 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. This took me 2.5 hours.
That's a long time for him.
That's a long time.
Long time for him. Not for me, for him.
And this was a great year for rye drinkers. If you're a rye fan,
good for you.
And I'm thrilled. You got distillers like Jack Daniel's coming out with 3 hitters, and we'll talk about some of those here shortly because they made the list. But it was awesome. Like, there were so many, even though some of them are sourced from MGP, I get it.
Okay.
MGP 95.5 is an incredible mash bill.
Delicious.
And when you get the higher age statements of MGP, even if it's like 4 year, it's usually really solid.
Yes, it is. You're right.
So when we're talking about MGP, I have to talk about. I'm just going to start spewing stuff out. I have to give a special mention to the Nashville Barrel Company, specifically the Ryes. We don't have Nashville Barrel Company distribution in Indiana.
No.
So I don't really get these ever. I see them as store picks every now and then. Yeah. And this year I just started getting into them. Matt Fishman, he either gave me this when we were in Kentucky. This is the inaugural Pack Edge X NBC Rye 2020. So this is last year's.
Okay.
Reason this is a special mention is because these are out pretty often. But this is something that I got into this year, and this is the only one I'm going to include that wasn't released this year.
Sure.
But I got into these this year, and I think they're really good.
Good.
They range from like 5 years to 5 or 7 years to 11 years, and they're really good.
Wow.
And they're pretty available.
Yeah.
This one.
Since I never see them up here, Trent, I really have no knowledge.
Yeah.
So them hardly at all, other than what I've seen pictures.
Yeah, and I mean they're single barrels, right? So they could be drastically different.
Sure.
And that's just what you get with a single barrel. This one in particular, I think is a 7-year or 7-11. I don't know. It doesn't say on it, but it's 116 proof, and it's really good. Good. So I had to put that one in there. I almost put it in the 5, but I did not. I'm looking forward to. I wrote down a list.
I'm so proud of him.
I wrote down a list.
He's got a paper list back here, babe.
I even got this fancy teal pen. And just to preface, like the 8 bottles, so I have 4 allocated, 4 non-allocated. And I did that because I literally could not pick.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, so that's the allocated, that's the non-allocated.
Sure, I see it now.
And I legit couldn't pick, otherwise I'd have been there for 5 hours. So, like... long story short, some of the ones that are not on this list because I either didn't get them in time, they weren't distributed in our area, or I wasn't able to pick them up in time. So we got like Sagamore. They did a Moscatel and a maple syrup finish. Incredible. I love them. I actually have them at home, but they just didn't quite make the cut for me because they're pretty sweet. And I was going for kind of more of a streamlined rye profile this year.
Wow, okay.
I liked it a lot.
Okay.
New Riff High Note, they did an 8-year Bohemian rye or some kind of rye. It's a high note collection, distillery only. I purchased it online. I didn't get to go pick it up yet, so I didn't get to try that.
I was going to say, I haven't tried that one.
Yeah. I know. Okay. Angel's Envy Cast Strength Rye. I think I almost bought it, but it was like $2.99. I was like, I don't really.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, I don't know that I want to do that this year.
Okay.
The Magi, they came out with another one that's from Cat's Eye in Iowa, and I have last year's. It's really good.
Tried yours last year.
Katie picked one up for me. I haven't gotten it yet, so that didn't make the list. I'm sure it would have because I've never been disappointed from what they got. But
all right.
I saw that Blue Note Juke Joint came out with a rye.
Really? I'd be very curious.
Which is interesting because I thought Riverset Rye was their rye brand.
True.
So I don't know what the story is there. And then Hard Truth is coming out with like 2 or 3 Pedro Jimenez sherry cask ryes and that kind of thing.
Whoa.
They're not in yet, but
yeah, and they do a fantastic job on those ryes. Fantastic.
So it was cool to see, and I know I'm talking a lot, but I want to get through my list. Next year is looking exciting. We got the Wild Turkey Triumph coming out. That's the Master's Keep. I know you're not a big rye fan.
That's okay.
But
that's okay as long as it's not finished. And
I don't think it is finished.
I'm happy for that, actually.
And then I saw Elijah Craig Toasted Rye's coming out.
Oh,
so
no
instead of their
kidding.
toasted bourbon,
That'll be interesting to try.
So that'll be interesting. I'll talk about some things I'm hoping that they come out with next year, but we can go ahead and get into it.
Yeah. What you want?
We can start with the non-allocated, and
sure.
I know that you haven't tried several of these, so we can kind of go through your notes and whatnot.
Sure.
The first one is the Malam in green. I think I'm saying that right.
Okay, yeah. I haven't even ever seen this bottle until you brought it down here tonight. Malam, I'm guessing M-I-L-A-M in green.
Yeah.
And I've got and it's finished. I see how your trend is finished in port wine casks.
Yeah, and it's 90 proof. So it's a good proof point. It's not a barrel proof. I think this ran me like $49.99 or $44.99 or $49.99. In my opinion, one of the better bang for your buck ryes that is finished.
Really?
Like, it's incredibly good. It's really smooth, and I don't know why people don't like to say smooth. I'm going to say smooth. It's really good. A lot of rye flavor. It balances that port cask finish really well, and it's just an all-around great pour.
Yeah, I love that price point too.
I'm going to join you
That's
here.
That's fantastic.
I
usually don't see too many ryes in that lower of a price point. That's fantastic like that. That's really good.
Yeah, and I have to assume distilled in Indiana. So this is MGP.
Okay.
And then they finish it in port wine. But usually with MGP, a lot of companies are just doing straight like cask strength. And I'm surprised, and I don't know if Malam Green, this is not age stated. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if they're just getting lower age stated MGP rye, and it's maybe not what they want to put out at like a cask strength. It might be a little harsh. Yeah. So they're port finishing it.
Well, I have to say, Trent, it's very good. And one of my favorite Sagamore bottles is the port finish. I know one of yours is the sherry finish. One of mine is the port finish. Mm-hmm. I might have to give the nod to Sagamore, but we're looking at, what is it, 90?
It's about double the price, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like double the price.
And I think it's 100 proof or higher, the Sagamore port.
This is really good in
really good
comparison.
offering.
Really exceptional.
And I think the Sagamore port is more on, I don't know if it's allocated, it might be distillery only release at this point. Mm-hmm. So you got to truck all the way over to Baltimore, Maryland to pick that up.
I heard it was, distillery only.
I don't know the distribution on this one, but it's a shelfer in Indiana because I can find it everywhere. So
very nice.
This is really good. Pick it up if you haven't.
Yep.
Let's go with the tall. We'll go with the ASW Fiddler Toasted.
All right.
They came out with this, and then they came out with the bourbon.
Yeah.
I like the toasted rye a little bit better, but I'm a sucker for a toasted rye.
I'm going to swallow this real quick and try some because I haven't had that yet either.
You haven't?
No. The toasted bourbon I have. I just haven't opened. You gave me a toasted rye.
Oh, okay. I was going to say
but I just haven't tasted it yet.
I have not been disappointed with anything that ASW's been doing. They're out of Atlanta, Georgia. I actually went to go visit them when I was on a business trip because the distillery was a couple minutes from my hotel that I was staying at for work.
Oh, okay.
And Chad, one of the guys over at ASW, gave me a tour. And it's a smaller distillery, but they're doing really good stuff.
Aren't we going in January?
We are doing a pick in January there, yeah.
That's going to be lots of fun.
Oh, that gave me another point.
We're just hearing that pen clicking. It's just proud moments up here. Proud moments.
Next year, too, we are doing, I believe, this isn't set in stone yet, a 13th Colony Double Oak Rye pick.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. I don't know if it's a rye or a bourbon. We have to pick it out. I'd love to do a rye pick next year.
Yeah.
But
that'd be fun.
So there's a lot of cool stuff coming out next year for ryes. But this is, I believe this is a barrel strength or cask strength or something. This is a 6-year-old double barrel rye. It's finished for 12 months.
Come on.
And
that is good.
Where's the flipping proof at? Oh, 108 proof. That's a good proof point.
That's a good proof point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not too exceptionally high, but that's lovely. I mean, it's really nice. That's one of the better toasted anythings that I've had. One of the better ones.
I would drink this this is like drinking in a hammock. And I'd probably fall out of the hammock, but it's just like this is like a really nice, crisp evening pour.
Lovely.
Delicious.
Yeah, very good.
Well, next but not least.
What you got?
Next but not least. Oh, that's not the right word.
Next but not last.
We're going to go with the Bardstown.
Okay.
The Origin Rye. This is a 6-year rye. This is their own rye distillate. I was pleasantly surprised when I got this.
I'm really glad you put that in there too. I had no idea what you were going to bring down. I had zero expectations because this is your bag. between you and Kent, you guys are the big rye lovers. But I'm really glad because I'm extremely happy that Bardstown came out with, when there was distillate in more budget-friendly price points.
A little snort of that?
Sure, dude. A little bit. There's one or two more over there I want to try, so don't get too heavy here. But yeah, I'm really happy that you did because I think it's great. I think it's just what Bardstown needed is to have some bottles on the shelf, not only because it's budget friendly, somewhat budget friendly.
Yeah.
When I say it's $50, but comparison to some of their discovery releases, collaborative releases that are well over $100, this is a lot more a lot more approachable on the wallet. So it's just great. But not only that, it's their own distillate. It's great. It's great.
I think one of the things that I loved about this year is that you had distilleries like Bardstown that were doing $130, $140 releases a couple times a year.
It's good.
And they looked at it and said, hey, we need to offer something else. And I get it. Having a non-distilling producer, an NDP, when you first start out, your stuff's going to be a little bit more expensive because sourcing is expensive.
Sure.
That's the nature of sourcing a bourbon or a rye or whatever.
Sure.
But I got to give them massive props on this because it's delicious. $60. It's a 6-year.
It is.
And it's good.
It is. There's no denying that. It's very, very tasty.
It is, to me, kind of Willet-esque. It's not as minty. It's not as like a piney kind of... I don't know how to describe Willet rye. It's like very minty forward, like a evergreeny kind of thing.
It's bold too. On those higher rye notes, it's bold. It's aggressive.
Yeah, this is like the sister of Willet rye, and I love it. It's a little bit more soft. It's a little bit more approachable.
Exactly, a little bit more subdued.
And it could be because it's 96 proof, actually. I thought it was 100.
Excuse me.
Oh, and this is actually finished in toasted cherry wood. I didn't know that. I don't read the labels usually.
That's the first time I've seen it.
Yeah. So that's really good too. I'd highly recommend it, and I think this is a great beginner rye. 96 proof. It's soft. It's an approachable bottle, and it's $60. Relatively available.
Great choice.
Last but not least, I said that right this time. I have to go with Jack Daniel's single barrel proof rye.
No question.
This is one of my favorite ryes this year. I was a little bit worried because you had the 2020 special release come out.
It was epic. It was epic.
Forget about that.
It was just epic.
Delicious. And I was like, I saw this coming out and I was like, this is going to be just as allocated. But these are kind of just sitting on shelves a little bit more, which is great.
Yes.
I mean, this, like yours is about 134.5 proof. So it's not for the faint of heart. I mean, that's going to hit you with some proof and it's going to hit you with some rye.
Yes, it is.
But if you can handle it, you can even take it and add a little water to it.
Yeah, a little water or throw it over a chunk of ice.
Yeah, for real.
It's really fantastic. I was with you. I was afraid. You have your expectations. We've talked about it before, right? With different releases, they come out with a real hitter, and your expectations are way up here, and then they come out with another limited release of some sort, and it doesn't even really come close. This isn't as good as the 2020.
No,
Let's just say that right off the bat here. But however, it hit more, than past my expectations of what they might have for this. So it was great. I'm not gonna have a pour of it because there's some over there. But it's great. It's really good stuff.
I picked up a backup because it was that good. We're gonna move on to the allocated. You kind of just let the cat out of the bag. She said there was another one over here, so we'll start with that one. But that's fine. That's fine. I am excited about Jack Daniel's Ryes this year. They had this, and they had the bonded. So they had one in kind of like every category. They had a shelfer, they had a semi-stable shelfer, and then they had an allocated bottle.
Yeah.
So this is the twice barreled rye. This comes in at 100 proof, and you haven't had this, right?
I have. I've had a tiny sip.
Well, be prepared to fall off your seat.
I don't have a bottle here.
This was, if I had to, I'll rank mine here. This isn't my first place out of the allocated. I don't even know if I could rank those, man.
I don't either, bud. Well, I could probably give you my best guess, but that's
I feel like there's no structure to this show. I'm kind of just saying whatever. It feels weird.
Oh, man. Yeah, come on. That's great.
Now, don't be surprised. I couldn't find this at home before I left. That was kind of why I was late. I left it in the center console of my truck.
I was going to say,
it's a little bit cold.
Chilly.
Yeah.
The sip was a little chilly. I'm not going to lie.
I was like, well, I'm going to have to bring out like that in the video and say, oh, you know, this is a twice barreled. But I was pulling out of the driveway. I was like, oh, I remember where I put it.
Yeah.
My truck's battery. My truck ran out of gas. I thought the battery died, but it just ran out of gas. So it's like downhill on the side of my house right now.
Yeah, you'll get it.
So it was fine. But really good. I think Jack Daniel's really set the bar pretty high in terms of the ryes. Don't break your bowl over there.
No, I can't have that.
But the bonded rye, it was good as like $35. It's a good budget rye. It wasn't my favorite, but if I was going to use it I'd probably use it for a mixer for a rye cocktail. It'd be pretty good. All right, this one I was really the most excited about.
Yes.
The Old Overholt, the 10-year cast strength rye. This is coming out of Jim Beam. Old Overholt like ryes from the 60s and 70s are very rare, and they're supposed to be some of the best ryes that have ever been made that aren't from MGP.
Is that right?
So I'm glad that they're kind of reviving that legacy from like Old Overholt ryes.
Sure.
And this lives up to my expectation. I think it's absolutely incredible.
I had a little sip of that
I'm gonna have another sip
right
now.
before we started filming, and it is very impressive.
The interesting thing, though,
Very impressive.
is that I didn't see much like press release about this, and I keep seeing pictures of people at Total Wine, and this is just sitting in boxes, like by the front doors. It's about $90, but it's 121 proof, and it's a 10-year-old, so it's like less than $10 a year, and it's well worth the money.
It's really good.
If you see one of these, don't pass it up. I don't think it necessarily. If you're not a rye fan, I don't know that this would necessarily be your thing, because it's just over the cusp of like a little mintiness, a little bit more like a standard rye characteristic to it. But there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's so good.
No, it was good, dude. I was very impressed, and the only thing I could think of, there's some on the shelves, is folks are, just look at it and they see Old Overholt, and usually it's more in a budget type category, right? And then they look at the price point. They don't, in their head, in their mind, they can't relate that.
Yeah.
So, but you're shedding some good facts here.
And don't worry, I bit the bullet and I tested it out for you guys. So I think it's well worth it if you see one. $90 around there. I don't think this is carrying like a secondary value or anything, but well worth the MSRP. I'm glad that I bought one. I'd buy another one if I could find one.
Good for you.
Really solid. Next up, I'm glad they came out with this again. Do you want to try some?
I do, yeah. That's why I got this different glass.
Kurt has the 2018 or the 2019.
Yeah,
this
got
is
an older one.
The Michter's Toasted.
Thank you.
Michter's Toasted Barrel Rye.
I haven't had that yet this year.
Michter's Ryes are some of my favorite. I also got the 10-year this year.
Yeah.
And the 10-year rye was good, but it didn't stand up to this, and then the last one I have up here. But spoiler alert, this might be my favorite of all of them up here.
That smells so good.
The
aromas coming out of this glass is dynamite.
Yeah. I don't even know. I need to finish this so I can move on to that one.
This is my first sip of this year's toasted rye. I love my bottle too, whatever it is. I can never remember it anyways if I wanted to.
They only release the toast. They alter like every 3 years or 4 years. Because they'll do this, they'll do like the toasted sour mash, they'll do the toasted bourbon, they'll do the toasted rye, and then they'll kind of redo the cycle.
Man, my God, it's so good. It's marshmallowy even. You definitely get that rye characteristics in the sip. Mm-hmm. You'll get some of that herbal, the sharpness, tingle on the palate. Oh. But boy, that toast on there is fabulous. It really is.
I know we're getting into the allocated stuff. I think this was $99 or $109.99. Secondary is usually secondary is going down quite a bit, which is good. Secondary is like $139 or $149. Still, I'd be a buyer. I think it's that good.
Yeah, it's really good.
So if you see one and it's in that price range, it might be a little bit high, but still, if it's less than $150,
yeah,
I'd be a buyer.
Sure.
And I wouldn't go about advertising that if I didn't think it was that good.
Good choice.
Okay.
Last one? Are we on the last one? No way.
Yeah. Last but not least, I was fortunate enough to pick up the Parker's 10-year rye this year. This is the cast strength. It's 128.8 proof. Would you like some?
I had some.
You did?
Yep, I've tried that.
This is Parker's Heritage is coming out of Heaven Hill. Last year they had the Parker's Double Barrel. The year before that it was the Wheat Whiskey. I've been fortunate enough to pick up the last two as well, and I've honestly never been disappointed with those. I was looking for the Parker's 8-year Heavy Char, which Kent has.
Kent has it, and it is just
It's divine,
mind-blowing.
And I've contemplated breaking into Kent's house to take it. I think I remember his garage code.
He's got some vicious dogs, so you got to be careful.
He does, yeah. Oh, Toby. Yeah, I don't want to get on the wrong side of Kent because he scares me sometimes. But this is incredible. This is the MSRP, the highest out of all the bunch. I think this was $209 or $219, something like there. So it's pretty high. Honestly, I think it's good. Would I buy it again for that price point? Probably not. But in terms of what was offered this year in ryes and allocated ryes, I think this is way better than the Michter's 10-year this year. I didn't include like the Old Forester single barrel proof ryes. Those are always good, but it's not an annual release. They're kind of rolling around every now and then. Sure. But it's really good. It's Heaven Hill, obviously, so it's more standard Heaven Hill rye. If you get an Elijah Craig rye, it kind of has some characteristics of that, just at a higher proof. I love it though. Yeah. I think it's very good. Yeah, there's no I don't know what I want to say here, Trenton. There's no. You gonna be okay, buddy? Yeah, I'm burping a little bit. There's no smoke and mirrors, I guess is what the words I want to use for that Parker's Heritage. No, it's just straight up rye in delicious goodness. That's exactly what it is. There's no finish. There's no toast. It's just straight up rye. If you're a rye lover, you would love that bottle. Yeah. If you particularly don't like rye whiskey, you'd probably really not like that bottle. This is more rye than like Willet rye. Mm-hmm. Like it is a rye lover's rye. Yes, it is. So take that with a grain of salt. Coming from me, I don't usually explain stuff the best all the time. But that was good though. That was good explanation. I was trying to get it across, but that's perfectly said. It really is. If I had to like rank these, I'm gonna just kind of fly by the seat of my pants. For allocated to be like the Michter's would probably be, well, I'd probably go the Old Overholt 1, actually. Mm. I'd go with the Michter's Toasted 2, the Jack 3rd, and then the Parker's 4th. Okay. This is probably my first. Wow. I'd probably have to put Bardstown at 2nd. I think they really killed it this year with this. Then Jack, and then this Willamette Green. Wow, okay. Yeah. Wow, that's great. Because if you ask me, and I'm not the rye guy, let's keep that in mind, I would mimic his choices exactly on the allocated side. Exactly. All right. I would change it up a little bit here, though. What you got? For me, I absolutely thought that the Jack Daniel's was a beast. Yep. I mean, I really loved it. I'd put that first. I'd put the Toasted 2nd. I'd put the Bardstown 3rd, and the finished. This Malam, whatever that is. I've never even seen before. Yeah, but I loved it though. Yeah. That would be what I personally would rank them. Yeah. Yeah, but over here, exactly what you said. I am really excited. I can't express how excited I was that this year had so many ryes. I didn't even realize there were this many ryes that came out. But I'm picking out all the stuff in my drawer next to my desk that I'm drinking all the time, and I'm glad. A lot of it's this. I'm glad you had a good year with rye whiskeys. I'm hoping next year, and if you're a distillery watching, you work at a distillery or anything, I have some suggestions. I'm going to read off to you. I would love to see This is good. Okay. Yeah, I'm glad you did this. You have no idea what you're doing here, but I'm very interested and very intrigued. I would love to see a Four Roses rye. I would love it. Their bourbons usually have a higher rye mash bill. If I'm correct, I'm not a Four Roses person. They've got all different kinds of stuff, but their single barrel is definitely a high rye. Yeah, they do have the high rye mash bill. Come out with a rye. I'd be very interested I can help taste it. Sure, you could. Russell's 13 rye. I'd love to see it. Let's make it. The bourbons. I'm actually a pretty big fan of the Russell's 13s. I don't reach for them. I have one. I don't reach for it too often, but I don't mind it when I drink it. Yeah. I'd love to see a Russell's 13 rye. I got a Russell's single barrel rye this year. Wow, that'd be incredible. And I thought it was pretty good. Yeah. Knob Creek 12-year rye. Come on. Why not? Put that baby cast strength. I think I saw they got like a 7-year age stated now. I think they changed. So I think that was their like standard rye, and they just added an age statement to it. Sure, but still, it's 7 years. You get a little bit more. Yeah, you got a 12-year. $30-$40. And make it cast strength. Come out with a cast strength Knob Creek 12 like you did a couple years ago, and do a rye version as well. Evan Williams rye. I'd be interested. Mostly, I saw the Evan Williams 12-year over there, and I was like, I'd be really interested to see Evan Williams do a rye.
Why
and I
not?
know a lot of these distilleries are steeped in history, and that's just not what they're historically known for. But give it a shot. Age-stated Rittenhouse rye. They came out with these before. They have a 21-year, a 23-year, and a 25-year Rittenhouse rye that came out early 2000s.
I had no idea.
Pre-2010, I believe. Let's see it happen. And
Wow.
then come out with an age-stated Old Forester rye. You're coming out with a 1924 next year. Let's make it. Let's get an age-stated Old Forester rye. I mean, this is great.
Yeah.
Do a like a 10-year or a 7-year or something.
Yeah.
Bump up to Knob Creek's level and get that.
Yeah.
Also, if you happen to be watching, bring back some Old Crow. Like I feel like Old Overholt and Old Crow were kind of similar. Now they're both kind of considered bottom shelfers. You revive an Old Overholt, revive Old Crow. You got the chest pieces. Old Crow from the 70s, 80s, 90s is good.
It's
Bring it back. Come on. Hit me up, slbdrinks@gmail.com if you need some help. I'd love to taste test some stuff. We'll make it happen.
He would gladly head down there to do that. I know that for sure.
I would.
Well, there you have it. I was excited. I mean, he has way more knowledge and information today than I think he's had in a year.
I usually don't have knowledge.
It was pretty impressive. I'm just standing back and enjoying what you delivered today. So I hope you folks appreciated it as well. If you have some suggestions for Trenton for ryes that you particularly liked this year, let's hear about it. Because when it comes to rye whiskeys, between him and Kent, they're all over trying to find the next great one. That's for sure.
Yeah, let me know.
And I don't mind tailing in the background tasting them.
I'm sure you
I don't mind that at all. All right, folks. We appreciate you. Glad you're watching. As always, we ask you to please drink responsibly. See you next time right down here with Trent and me in the good old basement bourbon bar. See you later.